The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
If I didn't know no better, I'd tell you he's the greatest.
Oh, y'all ain't know what happened to Chris Tucker? Well, it gets a little deep. See, Chris Tucker had a problem. He films this movie called Rush Hour, and suddenly he becomes the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Not comedy actor, the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Every script in Hollywood wants a piece of Chris, but Chris starts turning down roles. Why, you ask? Well, let's just say they were asking him to do things that he wasn't a fan of.
Even with Chris Tucker and his involvement in Friday.
He making peak with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour making 20 million. So I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
So that was it, it was just a money thing.
Oh, it's all about money.
Chris Tucker is finally breaking his silence, and what he's revealing about Hollywood is wild. People thought he walked away from the spotlight because he was greedy, demanding more cash than studios were willing to pay. But the truth? Way darker than money talk. Chris says the industry wanted him to cross some lines he was never willing to cross, and he wasn't about to sell his soul for fame. This man went from being the highest paid actor in Hollywood to being iced out completely. Imagine that. One of the biggest stars on the planet now struggling to even land a low-budget streaming role. That's how deep the blacklist runs, and insiders say Hollywood wasted no time swapping him out with others who were willing to play ball. Word on the street?
I know Cube want to do another one because Cube, of course, it's like, you know, he kind of created Fridays, and I was in the first one. Yeah. And Cube, after I did the first Fridays back then, I never thought about doing sequels. I always wanted to do a good job and keep moving to the next movie. So Cube asked me back in, I think it was 96 or 97. He's Chris, we want to do another Fridays, man. And I was just like, nah, I don't want to do another Fridays. I want to do like Eddie Murphy and them did. I want to do Money Talks. I did Money Talks, and then eventually did Rush Hour. I said, I don't want to do another. And he said, what? You sure? I was like, nah, I don't want to do another. So he couldn't believe it, but he kept moving, and he got Mike Epps, and they went and did another one, and it was great. He did two of them, and they were great.
The replacements included Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, and Jamie Foxx. And let's be real, we've all seen the chaos that followed. Jamie nearly lost his life after being mysteriously poisoned, and Martin was out here running through the streets screaming that someone was trying to kill him. The pattern is too eerie to ignore.
Chris Tucker not talked about being in next Friday, because I know it was Mike Epps, but...
We wanted him. You know, he turned it down. Yeah, we wanted to pay him $12 million to do that movie.
What?
And he turned it down. He said it was for religious reasons. He didn't want to cuss, and he didn't want to smoke weed on camera.
Chris kept quiet for years, brushing off the rumors and giving safe answers about his exit. When asked why he wouldn't return for a sequel to Friday, he said he just didn't want to keep doing sequels. But now, after watching what happened to Martin and Jamie, his silence makes a lot more sense. He was protecting himself from an industry that eats its own alive. That whole excuse about not wanting to do sequels, straight up cap, because right after he said that, Chris was front and center in Rush Hour, then signed on for Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 3, and even pushed for a fourth one. So clearly it was never about sequels. There was something much bigger he didn't want to say out loud.
To go to Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, Jamie Foxx. They were saying, hey, we'd love to do them. And to be fair, they did amazing jobs at those roles. Now, since they did such a good job, they didn't really need Chris anymore. But that was fine with Chris. When I say he was turning down movies, I mean he turned down hundreds of millions of dollars worth of movies. And it's literally just as simple as he didn't want to do it. He didn't want all that came with it. Other people decided to fill the role. Win-win.
Chris has always been known for being deeply religious, and that clashed with the wild energy of Hollywood. He wasn't vibing with the shady deals, the after-hours madness, and the so-called favors being pushed on him. That's why walking away from all that money came easy once they started pressuring him with things he couldn't stomach. He even admitted that one of the reasons he refused to return for Friday was because most of his co-stars were heavy smokers, and just being around that was enough for him to say, nah, I'm not doing it. That alone tells you he wasn't down to compromise his beliefs, not even for a blockbuster check. And when Chris started saying no to these roles, Hollywood didn't beg him to stay. They didn't wait. They didn't hesitate. They simply swapped him out with actors willing to play the game. No questions asked. Like I said before, Hollywood wasn't just looking for one funny black comedian to replace Chris. They wanted a lineup.
I know he poisoned Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx reported him to the FBI because of it. I know that's a fact.
So, wait, you're saying that Diddy poisoned Jamie Foxx and that's how Jamie Foxx got sick?
Jamie Foxx reported this man to the FBI because of this. Facts.
Wow. Okay, and how did you hear about this? If you can tell me, or if you can't, that's all good. But you know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, people are they're gonna want to know, you know what I'm saying, how this happened, or you know what I'm saying, what's the backstory to this?
Well, by the time this drop, this is gonna be in the stratosphere. It's gonna be in the ether by the time this drop. You can probably look it up right now. But by the time this interview drop, this is gonna be out in the ether for sure. These people poison people, bro. I've been poisoned 3 times. Why am I testing positive for cyanide? You feel me? Why I had pneumonia 3 times. So people like, man, why he breathe like that? Because I only got 1 lung. And then I had a car crash. I got 1 nostril permanently blocked. And I done had pneumonia 3 times. Somebody been trying to poison me. My brother got poisoned with me. The little lady I was bodyguarding, she got poisoned. Like, somebody is carrying on these antics. These is facts.
Is there any idea why Diddy would want to poison Jamie Foxx?
You get called to testify if you on camera and some of this footage and you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself. It's ways in this industry people go about doing things. Just know I tested positive for cyanide 3 times. After drinking some bottles in the club. Once you get hit with the cyanide, it turned into pneumonia. I had it 3 times.
Dr. Schutte came out. He said, well, we didn't find where it was coming from, but he is having a stroke. He may be able to make a full recovery, but it's gonna be the worst. My youngest daughter, she's 14. I didn't want her to see me like that, but she snuck into my hospital room with her guitar. They said I was paralyzed. Said I couldn't walk.
The plan was to have multiple comedians on deck so none of them would feel too powerful or too special to turn down roles the way Chris did. And that's where Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx, and Kevin Hart stepped in. But Martin, he was the first to fall. In 1996, he was spotted in Sherman Oaks, California, standing in the middle of traffic with a gun in his hand, shouting at random drivers that people were trying to kill him. Witnesses said Martin was screaming things like, "Fight, don't give up, fight the power," as police rushed in and hauled him to the hospital. Now here's where it gets real shady. The media refused to dig deeper. Instead, they brushed it off and painted the whole thing as just a manic episode. Tabloids kept labeling Martin as troubled and even hinted he was hooked on substances. But the truth, doctors who actually treated Martin flat out denied that. They made it crystal clear there were no drugs in his system, no meds at all connected to his breakdown. And then, just 3 years after this bizarre episode, Martin nearly lost his life when he collapsed from a mysterious medical emergency. Too many coincidences piling up, and Hollywood stayed silent while another comedian's career was spiraling into chaos.
Not even begin to tell you how far it took me and how it brought me back. I went through something that I thought I would never ever go through. And I know a lot of people were waiting, or wanting to hear updates, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that, man. I want you to see me laughing. Now, by being quiet, sometimes things, get out of hand. People saying what I got. Some people said I was blind, but as you can see, the eyes are working. Eyes are working just fine. Said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. But I did go through, and I know they talk about people crying on videos. You can do take 2, but I'm not gonna do a take 2. It is what it is. And if you see me out from now on and every once in a while I just burst into tears, is because it's been tough, man. I was sick, man, but now I got my legs under me, so you're gonna see me out. But like I said, I just want you to remember me for the jokes that I crack, the movies that I make. Some of them good, some of them ain't. I think I got a good one out. And the songs that I sing, man. And then, you know, some people were talking about I'm cloned.
Then came August 1999, the moment that changed everything for Martin Lawrence. While out jogging in brutal heat, he suddenly collapsed and slipped into a coma. Doctors managed to save his life, but when Martin woke up, he wasn't the same. His career never fully recovered, and whispers say he's been battling health issues ever since. For many, that marked the beginning of his permanent downfall. And Jamie Foxx, he wasn't spared either. In April 2023, headlines exploded with news that Jamie had been rushed to the hospital after suffering a stroke. But the streets weren't buying the stroke story, because word was spreading fast that Jamie had actually been poisoned. The shocking claim came from none other than Diddy's former bodyguard, big homie CC, who straight up accused Diddy of being behind it all. According to him, Jamie was poisoned with cyanide, and it wasn't just a random attack, it was targeted. Big homie even alleged that Diddy tried the exact same thing on him twice.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, do you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years?
The second attempt was so wild that his own brother was accidentally poisoned in the process, yet somehow both survived. And here's where it gets even darker. Big homie claimed the real reason Jamie has kept quiet about the details of his stroke is because he went straight to the FBI and reported Diddy for poisoning him. But since he didn't have enough solid proof, the case was never made public. If true, that means Jamie's silence isn't just about privacy, it's about survival. Now, unlike Martin and Jamie, Kevin Hart hasn't been hit with any sudden illnesses or life-threatening accidents. But according to Cat Williams, that doesn't mean he's innocent. Far from it. Cat straight up called Kevin a sellout, claiming Hollywood brought him in as the replacement after he refused shady deals meant to test his soul. Cat didn't hold back either. He said Kevin's rise to fame wasn't organic at all, that he was nothing more than an industry plant propped up and funded by powerful people pulling strings behind the scenes. To make it worse, Cat accused Kevin of being Hollywood's lapdog, taking on all the questionable movie roles and scripts that real ones had turned down. And according to him, a lot of those roles were designed to strip away masculinity and embarrass black men on the big screen. But here's where the twist comes in. From the way Cat was talking, it sounded like both he and Chris Tucker were offered the exact same types of deals. Yet, when Cat was asked about Chris, he flipped. Instead of defending him, Cat blasted Chris too, calling him a sellout just like Martin, Jamie, and Kevin.
Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Oh, Lord.
If I didn't know no better, I'd tell you he's the greatest. I don't care what you say. To be confident and not delusional is a real skill. Most of these confident people we see is really delusional.
Well, you don't think they asked Chris Tucker to come back in the second Friday? Smokey was all in Smokey. There ain't no Friday without Smokey.
We all agree to that, and there's no next Friday without Friday, and there's no Friday after next without
Friday. Nah, we talk about the road because you said that they don't...
Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. Chris was allowed to make the decision. At the time that this is happening. Cat Williams is known for smoking weed. Willie Nelson is known for smoking.
Right.
Snoop's known for smoking weed. But none of us is really known except Willie. And I'm saying, Chris Tucker didn't want to be the poster child for smoking. He don't smoke like that.
Right.
He in the church. He Michael Jackson's best friend. Christmas. Michael Jackson called him Christmas. You ever met a man that gave you a little nickname like that?
No.
Me neither.
He even accused Chris of turning down those roles as nothing but a distraction, a cover-up to hide his own secret industry ties. Of course, the public had plenty to say about Chris Tucker's exit from Hollywood. One fan wrote, "I think Hollywood wanted Chris Tucker to start doing some things that were really immoral. And he said no. By stepping back from those roles, good for him. He's living life on his own terms for Jesus Christ's sake." Another person praised him for standing firm, saying, "What an awesome man to honor his mother and father and remember who he truly is and how he was raised." Others chimed in, calling Hollywood Holly Weird and insisting Chris was smart to walk away. One comment even pointed out, Chris knows that place is wicked. That's why he said him and Chappelle had a similar walk. He'll never sell out to the elite. It's deeper than money. But now the spotlight turns to you. What do you think? Did Chris Tucker save himself by running away from the industry, no matter how much money they dangled in front of him? Or do you believe Cat Williams when he says Chris might be a sellout hiding behind the roles he turned down? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We need to hear from you. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves the tea. Don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss the next messy drop. And if you're ready for even more Hollywood chaos, click right here to watch the next wild story.